I'm back.
Hi.
Hi. Want to continue with the meditation part that I hear?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we were just talking about how, like you were saying,
Yeah.
meditation doesn't just necessarily mean you have to just clear your entire mind of any thought, because I feel like that's not really human nature too, We're
Mm.
still in this human body on earth. So
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes we're gonna have thoughts and that's okay. And I
Yeah.
think just for me, the easiest way to get into meditation, or like to have the practice be like a daily thing was actually
Mm-hmm.
is guided meditation. So there's guided where like you
Mm.
turn on a meditation and someone is guiding you through it. And then of course there's meditation where you just do it for yourself, like
Mm.
silently. And so I think my advice for anyone that like wants to get into meditation, just thinks it's too hard or impossible, is to start
Mm.
with guided meditations and just go on YouTube or something. I have an app I use
Mm.
called Insight Timer that I really like, and
Yeah.
there's a membership, but there's a bunch of free stuff on there, and I
Okay.
use that. I actually use that every night. Every night
Mm.
when I go to sleep, I pick the meditation like theme that I want for the night, whether it's abundance, whether it's love, whether it's affirmations, whether it's just to rest, whether it's wealth and money. I mean, it could, there's so many topics, and
Mm.
just follow along with it before I go to sleep and like during kind of like into my sleep. And I think that helps me with my practice, so that when I don't have a guided meditation, I've already heard so many that I almost like know how to tell myself or talk to myself when I do it.
Mm. So it's become like a habit where you know what's like in the habit, kind of.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like, and yeah, habit. Forgot what they say about like it takes 2 weeks to create a habit or something like
Mm.
that. And there's like the science behind how long it takes to make something a habit or stop having something be a habit. I
Yeah.
think it's either 2 weeks or 2 months or something. I can't
Yeah.
remember.
90 days,
But
maybe. I don't know.
yeah, I can't remember what the
Yeah,
number is,
around
the
that.
amount is. It basically, if you do something consistently,
Yeah,
it's a habit.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
that's why I think like just doing the guided meditations is just getting into the habit. And that way
Mm,
when you don't have the guided or you just want to try it yourself,
mm,
um, you've kind of already created a habit.
mm. Yeah, I feel like in the start having something to guide me was also a help, but I also feel like it could be quite a bit intimidating. Um, I guess that's because you actually like allow yourself to just sit and allow whatever is to just be. Because it can often make me feel like, oh my God, or like just this feeling of having to do stuff. So just allowing myself, like when I reflect back on that, it was quite hard to just like allow myself to do that, even though I am a person who loves to train and get into myself in that way. Meditation was just very intimidating. So that's a really great.
Yeah, it is. I feel like when we sit and like do nothing, it
Mhm.
feels weird because we're so, as humans, I think we're so used to like filling up our time with something or like not wanting to be quote unquote bored.
Mm,
And then we're always stimulated. So it's like, oh, let me turn on the TV. Let me listen to music. Let me scroll
mm,
through Instagram. Let me call a friend. Let me text. There's always like, you kind of want to fill up your day with like things. And I think like meditation, like you said, can feel weird and intimidating and strange because all of a sudden you're putting all of the things that you normally do that take up your time, you're putting those aside and you're just sitting with yourself with no outside distractions, and
mm,
it feels like the silence is deafening. It feels like the silence is so loud because you're like, wait,
yeah.
now I can hear my thoughts. This isn't what I want. Let me just turn on my favorite show and like not think about that. And
Mm,
I used to be like that. I definitely, when I didn't want to think about something unpleasant, maybe I
mm,
was going through a breakup or I was having anxiety about something or
mm,
a job, and I didn't want to think about it, instead of meditating and thinking and actually thinking about it, I would just be like, let me distract myself. Let me watch something
Mm.
funny and distract myself. Well, then you're not actually addressing the thing, and it's going
Mm.
to come back and bother you day and in and day out.
Yeah.
And then obviously, other people use other things to numb that pain, much
Yeah.
worse than TV, but like
Yeah.
it's all the same. It's all related, whatever you use to like cope.
Yeah.
So I think like the intimidating part about meditating is that we're not used to just sitting there and feeling our feelings.
Yeah, it's just such a caring way of being towards ourselves also, and in at least just for me and for what I've also experienced is that just the act of caring is in such a way can be perceived as very radical, because someone who meditates, that's like, whoa, that seems really woo-woo kind of.
Mhm.
But that doesn't have to be like that. And it's not like that often. Or it can be like that, but it's yeah, I find it can also, yeah, I think feel intimidating because it's allowing yourself to actually, like, it's such a caring way of being towards yourself. Um, yeah, like training and taking a long hot bath or just doing other acts of kindness to oneself. And I was thinking about what has been like the things that has kind of opened things more for you to become more aware of. Now we talked about this earlier, when you begin to become more self-aware of the things that would um just be healthier and better for you. No.
Yeah, you're asking when did I become more aware?
Yeah, what has been like the things in your life as a teenager or as a young adult that has been like, oh, this is the thing. I heard you mentioned about that you don't drink.
Yeah, I barely. I mean, I drink like I might have like a few drinks a year at this point.
Mm, okay,
I
yeah.
used to drink a lot. I used to in my
Mm,
20s, I could drink a man under the table. Like
mm,
people would be shocked at how much I could drink, but then still be like coherent and still
mm,
be taking care of everybody else. I just always had a high tolerance. So
mm,
I actually I was like proud of the fact that I could drink so
mm.
much and still be okay. So I think I would almost show off, especially to guys,
Yeah,
like, look what I can do. Like
yeah,
I had that attitude where
yeah.
I wanted to be just as good or better at something
Mm,
that I don't know.
yeah,
So
for
obviously I don't care about that anymore and I care more about my health. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I definitely don't do that. But I think the thing that actually was like the catalyst in my spiritual journey is actually a breakup I went through um during the pandemic, or like right when the pandemic was over or whatever, in
Mm,
June, let me see, June of
mhm,
2021. Yeah, I think that's right. I was in a relationship with somebody. He was living here with me in LA, and it was like one of those pandemic relationships, I guess, where you just kind of like get stuck to somebody and you get so used to being with them 24/7 because you're not seeing anybody else that you naturally just
mm,
gravitate towards each other. And there was a lot of love there, don't get me wrong. We definitely
mm,
like loved each other and had like a good relationship, but I think
mm,
as time went on, we realized like we're not for each other. We're very different.
mm,
And when when we broke up, and he was living here, so he had to like move out, and it was the first person I ever lived with, right? It was the first boyfriend I ever
okay.
actually lived with, so it was a big deal for me.
Mm,
And when he moved out and he was taking all his stuff out, naturally I felt a sense of relief that it was finally like over, but I also felt sad because now all like just someone's like taking their life and like moving
yeah.
it out. So there was this big, like, this feeling I couldn't even describe of like sadness, but also relief and knowing that I did the right thing.
Okay.
And once he left, I had two choices. I could have just fallen into a depression and been like, why can't I find someone? No one loves me. And, just done that whole negative self-talk. Um,
Yeah.
and of course that creeps in because I'm human, but then I also
Yeah.
have the choice to be like, this happened for a reason.
Mm.
Let me think about all the things that transpired during this relationship that I can take into my next one. So when that happened, that's actually when I started reading a lot of different spiritual books and
Mm.
meditating a lot. Like I said, when I told you I started meditating like more heavily about 2 years ago, that's when
Mm.
it's after the breakup. I
Mm.
needed to center myself and figure out, like, find myself again. Cause I feel like
Mm.
I lost myself in all the
Mm.
relationships I had with guys. Like every time I was with someone new, I would mold myself into what I thought that they wanted. And I realized like that's not healthy and that's not what I want to do. So I think that's kind of the catalyst was that breakup. And I thank him for it because
Mm.
I don't talk to him anymore, but I don't think he even realizes what he's done for me, which is he changed my life by leaving,
Mm.
by moving out, like I needed
Yeah.
him to do that. So
Mm.
even though I was actually the one that pulled the trigger and made that breakup happen, I knew he wanted to, but he didn't want to hurt my feelings. But I could sense he didn't want to be with me anymore, but he just
Mm.
wouldn't say it. So
Okay.
I actually got the courage to be like, listen, I know there's something going on, like this isn't working anymore. And that really helped me like find myself again and have the courage to be strong and go. I was like, if I
Mm.
could go through this, I could go through anything.
Mm.
And so that was like the memory I have of like when this all kind of started, when this mindset that I have now and this me being very self-reflective
Mhm.
happened at the end of that relationship.
Yeah. Okay. Mm. Yeah,
So
that's
not that long ago, I was 32, like, had just turned, because my birthday's in June, so I had just turned
mm.
32. That's when I really had, like, almost this
Mm.
awakening where I was like, "What am I doing? What was I doing this whole time?"
Mm. Yeah, an awakening. Yeah, like that
Yeah.
with it. Mm. Yeah, I feel like it's wild to like have this awareness of knowing what one person leaving one's relationship can do for one in like a healthy way and giving way. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and we ended that relationship, it was still in a loving way, there
Mhm.
was a lot of crying and hugging and a lot of "I love you so much as a person," but, like, it's
Mhm.
just not working. So, I think because it ended in this, like, healthy way too, it helped me realize, like, not everything is so doom and gloom. It wasn't like this big argument. Well, and if it was,
Mm.
that's okay too, because
Yeah.
that happens too.
Yeah.
My last relationship that I just ended more recently was not as nice of an ending, but it was
Mm.
also very necessary of an ending.
Mhm.
Um, and that catapulted me into another, like, I feel like I jumped 10 more timelines after this last relationship because
Mm.
I thought I learned so much from the one I just told you about that I was
Yeah.
like, the next relationship I get into, I'm so aware now it must be the right one. But of course,
Mm.
it still wasn't the case. I still got into something that wasn't healthy that I didn't realize in the moment. And
Mhm.
then after months, I started to notice like, oh, I'm doing it again. I'm acting different. So then I ended that. And
Mm.
then that like catapulted me so far into like I'm even more sure of who I am. Like I
Mhm.
needed to go through all of those things, and as sad as all those things were and as hard as they are to like deal with and process, I'm so thankful for all these men who've showed up into my life and who
Mm.
have like taught me something about myself. So
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, and it's just a way to look at it too, because you could sit here and be like, "Oh, he sucks, and he did this, and he did that, and
Mm.
he's a
Yeah.
horrible person." But, like, well, why did you attract that person? That person could have
Mm.
done horrible things to you, but you allowed it. So
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
did you?
Exactly.
So I'm like very instead of blaming somebody, I'm like, yeah, maybe there
Mm.
were a couple things that weren't so nice about certain actions,
Mm.
but I was here in the relationship too. Like I was
Mm.
a part of it. What did I do what did I do? What did I say? How did I act to attract this person? I must
Yeah.
have done something. I'm not an angel in that way. I mean, I am, but like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like I'm not
Yeah.
perfect. So
Yeah. No, no
just a
one's
lot of reflection. I say the most I ever learn about myself is always through romantic relationships for me.
Mm. Yeah, okay, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. It's through
Mm.
other people. Because we're all mirrors, right? So
Yeah, yeah, we are. Yeah.
it could be through friendships too. I definitely learn about myself through friendships, but it's different because when you're in a romantic relationship, you're with that person. They see you through everything. You're with them all the time. Like
Yeah.
it's a different relationship. So you know, some people learn about themselves through other ways. For me, I've noticed now that it's been through my relationship with boyfriends.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I really have the most growth. When I end those relationships, it's actually pretty cool.
Nice. Wow, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's so interesting how both romantic relationships and friendships change the way we see it ourselves. And also like having this, as you described, this curiosity to look inwards instead of blaming can always be also be inwards, but having a curiosity to what is happening and what has happened instead of or like what's going on about it. That is that's the important thing in it, the important element, like being curious to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
uh
asking yourself, like, that's so true. Curiosity is so important when it's about, especially when it's about yourself. That's
yeah,
when you can.
yeah, it is. What I want to finish off with some one of the things is the books. Some of the books you have read, I'd love if you would share some of them.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have my book. Should I like take the camera and just go
Oh yeah,
down?
yeah, you can do that.
Because
Yeah.
they're all like right
Mm.
here. Okay.
Ah, this is awesome.
So these are some of my favorite books. I'll point out the ones that like changed my life
Yeah,
or my view on
those
things.
are
So
interesting.
the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying changed my
Mhm.
view about death. It's no longer this like scary topic that like we all are gonna die basically,
Mhm.
and but our bodies will die, our souls won't. But this is the book that changed my view on death, and I really like I love it.
Mm.
And then I would say, well, almost all of these, A New Earth, Eckhart Tolle, The
Mhm.
Wisdom of Florence Scovel Shinn. There's a
Yeah,
lot of wisdom in that book, just
yeah,
about life and love in general.
yeah,
This book right here is one of my favorites,
yeah,
Psycho-Cybernetics. It's
yeah.
about how to reprogram your mind to be able to achieve anything you want. So this
Mm.
one's really like teaching you how your brain works. It's really interesting.
Mhm.
And then of course we have Abundance.
Mm.
Deepak is one of my favorite, just people in general.
Mm.
These I haven't read yet. I just bought them, so I'm excited about those. Conversations with God. There's 4 books that definitely changed my life a lot. It's like my version of what the Bible would be, but
Yeah.
it's a spiritual book and it doesn't cater to any religion. It's just
Okay.
God as in the universe.
Mm.
Um, and I mean, pretty much all of these, but those are like the main,
Yeah,
I would
those are
say the
some
main ones.
interesting ones.
And then When Things Fall Apart,
Mm.
um, this one is really good when you're going through something difficult, maybe a breakup or a
Mm.
death or something's just not like this one's really helpful to kind of help you with that mindset. So
Yeah. Okay.
those are just some. I mean, I love reading, I love books.
Yeah.
But those are
Same.
but the main ones that I think made like a really big impact on me.
Mm. Nice. Thank you for sharing that too.
Yeah, no problem. I feel like those are books that any person on this planet can read. I mean, maybe the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying is a little heavy for most people and it's
Mhm.
difficult to read. But I would say other ones are for like any type of person. It will only help you grow.
Yeah.
And the other ones are like a lot easier of a read than that one.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, some great books to end with also and have some inspiration for that. Thank you for this conversation as well, Jackie. And your whole name? Can you
Say what?
because I noticed on the email that Jackie Hollywood isn't your whole name or like your full name. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Well, as you know, I'm Russian, so I've always had when growing up, a lot of like kids in school just couldn't pronounce my last name, or even adults. I mean, teachers had trouble with it. So I got the nickname Jackie Hollywood actually, I think in high school. I used it when I had MySpace, like I used that as my username. And then ever since then, like people just started calling me that without, I didn't even realize what was happening, but this transition happened where that became my nickname. Sometimes people just didn't even use my first name at all. They'd be like Hollywood, just my whole life. And so it's really just became like so ingrained in my nickname that most people don't even know what my last name is unless they've known me since I was a child. So it's just funny how that happened.
Yeah. How do you pronounce it?
Palatnica.
Lanika?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I always like to be able to like pronounce and actually say the full name. I feel like it's a way of also like honoring the person and the nationalities that we are from.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, thank you for sharing this time and spending the time on the podcast. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm always happy to have a conversation that feels like enlightening, it feels therapeutic. You know, those are the kinds of conversations that
it
I
really
enjoy.
does.
Yeah. Thank you for letting me coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah, you're welcome again. And yeah, thanks for sharing your story about your family and you growing up the past. So yeah, that's really inspiring as well, and just so great to hear these stories now that there is so much war in some places of the world, and it's so good to have these conversations that just brings light.
Yeah.
And we can learn. So yeah.
I agree.
You were saying something?
I said, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Could I take a picture? Would you be up for that? Like
yeah. A screenshot.
kind of screenshot? Yeah, what's like what will work? I'm just gonna do like I think.
Or are there balloons on my face? How did that happen?
Nice. Thank you.
Does that happen when I do this? Wait, how did I get balloons? Did you see that on my screen?
I saw there came some green.
Yeah, like a bunch of balloons popped up on my screen, but I didn't do anything. And I thought it was because I went like, oh, wait, what? What's happening?
I don't know. Is that Sue?
I tried it.
Yeah, okay. We like that. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, that's weird. No.
Yeah.
Oh, that was fun.
What?
I said, well, that was fun. Thank you.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Enjoy your day also. And I'll just let you know when the episode is ready and everything about that. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, enjoy your night.
Thank you. Hey.
Bye.
Bye.